My name is Sonia DeSanti, and I'm the director of the Youth Center in Adams. Each year, the Youth Center assists over 1,300 young people in the Berkshires. Your donation to the Annual Catholic Appeal allows us to help those in the greatest need in our community. Every dollar stays here in Western Massachusetts. Please consider donating to the Annual Catholic Appeal, and together we can serve with love. To donate, log on to diospringfield.org.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Terry Hegarty. I'll tell you the story of a reawakened Catholic parish in Timonium, Maryland.
Author Carrie Weber is slated to receive a special book award. And Dan Dumas will take a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield and beyond. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Here is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. Last week we introduced you to Father Michael White and Tom Corcoran from the Church of the Nativity in Timonium, Maryland. The two have been sharing the story of how their once struggling parish was rebuilt into a thriving Catholic community. For part two of this story, Terry Hegarty traveled to Timonium, just outside of Baltimore, to learn more about Nativity Parish. He tells us now how other parishes can adopt this model of success.
On a typical weekend at the Church of the Nativity Parish in Timonium, Maryland, more than 4,000 worshipers will show up for Mass. But the services there weren't always so well attended. The pastor of the parish, Father Michael White, and associate to the pastor, Tom Corcoran, have authored 2 books detailing the turnaround of their parish. They say that the steps outlined in the books are awakening the faithful, reaching the lost, and making church matter. Their first book, Rebuilt, has received praise from pastors, well-known authors, and even from a couple of archbishops. Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Archbishop of New York, who wrote the foreword, said, "If you love your parish, read this book." Father White is quick to point out that even though they are very welcoming to all at their parish, the truths of the Catholic Church are not compromised.
If you keep coming to our church, not just once or twice, but week after week after week, you're going to start hearing some pretty challenging kinds of messages that are going to challenge you in terms of your giving to the church, in terms of your service to the church, in terms of your ministry, in terms of your lifestyle, and what the church is asking you to do.
More than 15 years ago, when Father Michael and Tom arrived at the parish, attendance was dwindling, and there were fundamental problems with the parish, they contend. Neither Father Michael nor Tom were enthusiastic about their jobs. Tom writes candidly about how he didn't plan to stay long, and Father Michael felt he was not well suited to parish ministry. But they say that the Holy Spirit intervened and changed everything. The two examined the situation and realized that their parish wasn't working, that they didn't know how to fix it, and that they could learn from other successful churches. Tom says that they've succeeded in spite of the many growing pains.
I think perseverance and commitment to a place is very important. That also, I think, humbly learning from other churches and what they were doing well. And for us, learning from some of these other churches stretched us and helped us to grow personally, I think, first and foremost, and then helped us to be better leaders to lead the church and help others grow.
Even though people, I think, in many cases come in, thinking they want sort of something shorter and let's get in, check that box, what they get is something that really meets them and engages them and brings them further along in their faith in a way that they weren't expecting.
The parish is now at capacity, and they're examining how they can accommodate more growth. TJ, a lifelong Catholic, has been attending Nativity Parish with his wife and 2 children for the last 5 years.
This is all about engagement. We often talk about the fact that on a Sunday morning, at the Ravens, it's kids' sports, cutting through the clutter and reaching people.
As they reach out to people, both Tom and Father Michael say that spreading their message of success is not about selling books or being on TV.
What makes us happiest about this whole process and project is when a pastor or a pastoral minister comes up to us, or even just somebody in the pews from another church, and says, your book helped us. We have hope because of your book. That's the best compliment that we can possibly receive.
Another chapter of Rebuilt is entitled Mobilize the Next Generation. Nativity not only welcomes children, but caters to them while educating them in the faith. Kristen Costanza ministers full-time at the parish. She was a parishioner well before the revitalization began.
It's been really special to me to watch it grow and to watch so many amazing things happen, and to watch people and families week after week, to see their lives change and their family grow together, and to grow closely in their faith and to start to pray together. And it's just amazing to see the impact that Nativity has had on me, and then to see that happening in other families, and to just be a part of that is unbelievable.
Kristen says utilizing the strategies in the books can help a parish, but it's a process.
The first encouragement I would offer is that it's not an overnight thing. It's a very long process, and that something that seems impossible to you is completely possible by prayer and intercession and just God's anointing on your church. And I think that's such a forgotten thing, that God has a plan and a purpose and gets excited about the local church and what it's supposed to be doing.
TJ says that while the style of the Mass is different, it is still the Catholic liturgy.
The Mass itself is very orthodox, and it really comes down to the Word of God, which really doesn't change, from place to place. So it's the style and commitment, really, of Father White to invest time in developing messages that really challenge you and take you a little bit deeper, connect the Word to relevance in the today, and leave you with some things that continue to challenge you over the course of the week.
The Rebuilt story is one that invites people to take a fresh look at parish life. Proponents say that many of the changes, while difficult, are deeply rewarding. A message that is rapidly spreading far from here. Reporting for Reel to Reel from Timonium, Maryland, this is Terry Hegarty.
It's so great to see that these books are so popular, and it's encouraging to know that so many parishes are being helped by adopting methods that have proven to be successful at Nativity Parish. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Dan Dumas has the latest news from the Diocese of Springfield and beyond. And the singing priests are coming to the Berkshires. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting to continue this Easter celebration this Sunday morning at 10. This week we welcome Father William Terigny, pastor of St. Rose de Lima Parish in the Aldenville section of Chicopee, as our celebrant. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10, right here on 22 News.
It is a journey that will stay with you a lifetime. Join Father Gary Daly, Father Matthew Alkenbright, and me, Peggy Weber, for a special pilgrimage to Ireland from August 7th to the 18th. Every day will include Mass and adventure. The trip is sponsored by Catholic Communications and organized through John Paul Pilgrimages and Tours. This special trip to the Emerald Isle will include a ride on a jaunting cart through Killarney National Park, a visit to the Aran Islands, the Cliffs of Moher, and the Connemara region. Pilgrims will attend a private Mass at Kylemore Abbey, home of Ireland's Benedictine nuns. The group also will journey to the Marian Shrine at Knock for a private Mass and prayer. They will travel to the northernmost point of Ireland, Mallinhead, and then journey into Northern Ireland to see the walled city of Derry and the Giant's Causeway. A tour of the Bushmills Distillery is included in the day. Also on the itinerary is a trip to Armagh and the Boyne Valley. And pilgrims will see the ecclesiastical settlement of St. Kevin's in Wicklow, and then tour Dublin. The tour is filling up quickly, so call now. The land of 1,000 welcomes awaits you.
Butcher, baker, candlestick maker, I didn't care what they grew up to be as long as they were happy. To give up marriage and children just seems like too much to walk away from.
He seems to think he's making a real difference in people's lives, and he's so happy. Isn't that what's most important?
I never would have imagined our son as a Catholic priest.
My name is Sonia DeSanti, and I'm the director of the Youth Center in Adams. Each year, the Youth Center assists over 1,300 young people in the Berkshires. Your donation to the Annual Catholic Appeal allows us to help those in the greatest need in our community. Every dollar stays here in Western Massachusetts. Please consider donating to the Annual Catholic Appeal, and together we can serve with love. To donate, log on to diospringfield.org.
Joining me now is Father C.J. Waitikis of St. Anne Parish in Lenox. Thanks for being with us today, Father.
Thanks a lot, Sharon. It's great to be here.
So I understand you are bringing the singing priests back to the Berkshires. Tell us more about this great event.
Sure. It's going to be held on May 15th, Friday, May 15th at 7 o'clock at night at the Barrington Stage, which is in downtown Pittsfield. And once again, it's a coming together, this time of about 15 of our diocesan priests, and to benefit the good sisters of St. Joseph. And we're looking forward to a great, fun, enjoyable, high-spirited evening.
It sounds like a great time. And when is it, and how can we get tickets?
Well, I guess the details would be tickets are available by calling the box office at the Barrington Stage. You can show up at the stage. We hope it'll be sold out. So definitely I would call the Barrington Stage. You can go on the internet, buy them through the internet. But it's, again, a mix that night of the first half is religious songs, songs that you would hear at church after an intermission. The second half are songs from Broadway, and a lot of people know the songs in the second half as well. Sing-along songs, and a mix of jokes, and a wonderful night of seeing priests interact with each other. It's just a fun night to be Catholic.
Thank you so much, Father C.J., and good luck and have a great night.
Thank you very much.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel-to-Reel news brief. Between July 2013 and June 2014, the U.S. Catholic Church spent over $150 million on child protection efforts and to address allegations of clergy sexual abuse of minors in dioceses and religious orders. In a report released April 17th, it was announced that this total included about $31.7 million for safe environment training programs, background checks and other protective efforts, and about $119 million for settlements paid to victims, therapy for victims, attorneys' fees, and other costs related to allegations, including those reported in previous years. The figures are among results of an annual survey conducted by Georgetown University's Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate. It's part of an annual audit report on the response of the U.S. Church to clergy sexual abuse. You can read more on iobserve.org. In other news, Bishop Mitchell Rosansky, who serves as chair of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops' Ecumenical and Interfaith Relations Committee, recently attended 2 regional interfaith events. The first was a breakfast at Westfield State University, where a longtime Catholic chaplain was honored. Peggy Weber has the story.
With song and speeches, hundreds gathered for the Albert and Amelia First Interfaith Breakfast at Westfield State University. The event honored Father John Dean, retired chaplain. The breakfast also recognized the renovation of the Albert and Amelia First Interfaith Center on the college campus. And it welcomed Springfield Bishop Mitchell T. Rosansky as its distinguished speaker and guest. Michael Kanapic, Executive Director of the Westfield State Foundation, praised Father Dean for the priest's extraordinary service to the college.
Your incredible 3 decades of service to the Westfield State community has enriched all who have been touched by your warmth, your compassion, your joke of the day, your expert tap dancing, and your commitment to God in your campus ministry.
He spoke about how Father Dean was always ready with food and kind words for any student in need. Of course, everyone mentioned Father Dean's love of telling a good joke. Even when Father Dean was asked to reflect on his years in Westfield, he couldn't resist.
Well, when I look back, it's when I had hair. That really stands out in my mind.
Father Warren Savage, the new Catholic chaplain at Westfield, praised his predecessor.
Father Dean for 30 years was a compassionate presence to so many students. He had a wonderful sense of humor. He had a great way with students. He created a sense of family and community.
Bishop Mitch spoke about interfaith relations and the Catholic Church, and how the Church works with others in immigration and poverty issues. He, too, praised Father Dean.
It just shows the real value of living one's priesthood out faithfully and the way in which one person can touch so many lives in a positive way. Father Dean is a man who has a great sense of humor. He exudes the love of the Lord in his ministry. You could just tell that by meeting him, and you can tell how deeply he felt about being a college campus chaplain.
Father Dean simply summed up what he liked best about his ministry at Westfield State University.
Working with the students most of all, and doing Mass, on campus.
Bishop then hosted the executive director of the U.S. Catholic Bishop's Office on Interfaith and Ecumenical Relations, Father John Crossan, to the Elms College for a Sister Mary Dooley lecture. Sharon Rulier was there and filed this report.
Father Crossan was in the Diocese of Springfield April 15th as a guest speaker for the Elms College Mary Dooley Lecture Series, Walking with Others, Ecumenical and Interreligious Dialogue Today. He spoke to a group of educators and students as well as members of the ecumenical and interfaith communities, taking a look back over the last half-century since the Second Vatican Council released key documents for understanding Catholic approaches to ecumenical and interreligious life. He traced the history of how the documents came about and what the bishops of the United States are doing today to promote dialogue. He said as a young boy growing up in Philadelphia in the 1960s, things were much different from today.
For some of us who have a little gray hair, the fact is we learned more of an oppositional model when I grew up in Philadelphia. And we didn't go in one another's churches. And I hung out with these guys playing basketball and other sports all day and night, but we never went into each other's churches. And now that has changed.
Father Crossan says that the effort to promote unity between people of all faiths is an ongoing process that the Catholic Church is committed to, a process that takes time.
Planting seeds that will grow over a long period of time instead of trying to control things in space in the present moment. So that's what we're doing. We're committed to a long-term process. It's not a 100-yard dash, it's a marathon. And you have to be at it for the long haul. And you have to be a listener as well as a speaker.
Finally, some talented artists at Holyoke Catholic recently displayed their creative works. Julie Bollier was there and prepared this report.
Heavenly Voices rang through the front lobby of Holyoke Catholic High School Friday evening, March 27th, for the Spring Art Show. This year's theme was celebrating the visual and vocal journey of Holyoke Catholic. About 100 people flooded the lobby and gallery to hear the a cappella choir and to view the still art exhibits, which included a variety of paintings, sculptures, drawings, hangings, and also poetry. Senior Kelly O'Connor, a four-year art student, described her display.
I chose to do the car back in October, November because I wanted a project that was really detailed and would take me a long time. I really liked being able to get the different angles of the car and the fogginess of the snow and being able to get really down and detailed because I'd never done a project that took so long before, because advanced art is more, you do independence more often than group projects, so you really have time to get down to what you like to do and get into the nitty-gritty details.
During the art show, the a cappella choir gave a 45-minute-long performance to a standing room-only audience. Senior Carly Gilson, also in the Performing Arts Club, loves to sing.
I have done a cappella all 4 years, and my sister actually did it for 4 years before I came here. So I've known the songs for a while, and it's been a really fun experience. I actually had a little solo part in 2 songs, the 3 Spirituals and We're Marching On to Freedom Land. And in the 3 Spirituals, I did the part that was I Wanna Die Easy, and then in We're Marching On, I did the fancy soprano part.
Other selections sung by the a cappella choir were Yonder Come Day, Down to the River to Pray, This Little Light, and Leonard Cohen's Alleluia, among others. This is Julie Beaulieu reporting in Chicopee.
And remember, you can stay informed on all the happenings here in the Diocese of Springfield and beyond at our news and information website, iobserve.org. There you'll find up-to-the-minute and accurate news in the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and beyond. That's our news and information website, iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and that's your Real to Real News Brief.
This is a document that precisely coincides with the gospel account of what was done to the man Jesus. When it comes down to what tortures were applied to him, pretty much everything that was mentioned in the Gospels is documented with forensic accuracy on this piece of cloth.
Io ci ho creduto dalla prima volta che l'ho visto e continuo a crederci, però ogni volta mi porta una grandissima emozione.
È stato emozionante e unica come esperienza. Auguro a tutti i giovani di poter capire e di poter osservare con il cuore.
Emozione grandissima, anche perché passare davanti a quel telo è un sospiro di proprio tenere respiro, poi passare e riflettere quello che si è visto, quindi lasciare quel sospiro di sollievo è un'emozione grandissima.
Ma quello che conta di più per il pellegrino e per la Chiesa è che comunque di fronte a questo telo nasce, ecco, nel cuore delle persone questo richiamo continuo e costante a ciò che Gesù ha fatto e a ciò che Gesù ha donato all'umanità.
You are watching Real to Real, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Real to Real host, Sharon Rulier.
Finally today, we introduce you again to former Catholic Communications producer Carrie Weber. Carrie is the daughter of Peggy Weber. Carrie is the managing editor of America Magazine. And 2 weeks ago, it was announced that she also would be the recipient of the prestigious Christopher Award for her book, Mercy in the City: How to Feed the Hungry, Give Drink to the Thirsty, Visit the Imprisoned, and Keep Your Day Job. In the book, Carrie documents her commitment to living out the corporal works of mercy, which led her to volunteer at New York City's homeless shelters and breadlines and visit inmates at California's San Quentin State Prison. I sat down and spoke with Carrie a year ago when this book was first released. All Christians are asked to physically and spiritually reach out to others in need. The 7 corporal works of mercy concern the material needs of others: to feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, care for the sick, visit the imprisoned, and bury the dead. As a single woman living in New York City, Carrie Weber decided to challenge herself. When asked to write a devotional book about Lent, she went a bit further, trying to complete all of the corporal works of mercy during Lent.
I realized I was not really doing any of these corporal works of mercy. They seem to be very obvious, they seem to be very easy, feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, but they're also very easy to ignore.
Mercy in the City evolved to use the Lenten season as a backdrop and also considers topics of faith and justice relevant to any time of the year. The author admits there are challenges in performing these works.
I think the corporal works of mercy are always very challenging, and we need to do them in a way that builds relationships. It's very easy to go somewhere and to throw out 100 sandwiches and say, all right, I'm very merciful, but if you do it and you don't look at the person in the eye, if you don't see Christ in that person, if you don't try to sort of be present to someone, it's not actually being particularly merciful. So we need to try to incorporate the actions with a kind of mindset that enables us to see Christ in others.
Weber is a graduate of Cathedral High School in Springfield and Providence College. She began her involvement with the Catholic press at age 16 when she joined the summer staff of the Catholic Observer, the former newspaper of the Diocese of Springfield, and the Reel to Reel television program. Following her graduation from Providence College in 2004, she spent 1 year as a full-time volunteer with the Mercy Volunteer Corps teaching on a Navajo Nation reservation in Arizona. Now, how did growing up in Springfield shape your faith life?
Well, Springfield has a wonderfully vibrant Catholic community here, and to be a part of that community really helped me to feel a part of the larger church, which I really appreciated. And there's a lot of people here that are very service-oriented, and to be able to participate in a lot of the ministries that are here in Springfield and a lot of the volunteer opportunities through Cathedral High School, I was really there was instilled in me a kind of spirit of mercy that I think continued on into my current life.
For those who are overscheduled, too busy, or think they're not religious enough to practice the works of mercy, Weber says she hopes her new book will bring some encouragement.
We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be in a perfect spot in our lives. We don't have to have the rest of our lives clear of our schedule. We just need to be present to people, and we need to enter into relationships with others meaningfully and in a way that brings Christ to others.
Carrie Weber has traveled the country and the world as a reporter and says that from each trip she garners more knowledge of how to live out her faith. Congratulations to Carrie, and her work, along with those of such authors as actor Henry Winkler, is one of 11 for adults and young people being honored at the 66th Annual Christopher Awards to be presented in New York City on May 13th. And Carrie will be having a very busy May as she is also getting married on May 24th. Lots to celebrate in the Weber household this year. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. Remember, you can stay up to date on all of the news of the Catholic Church, both in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world, with regular updates on our news and information website, iobserve.org. And you can also follow us on Facebook. We are at Catholic Communications, where you'll get a sneak peek behind the scenes, traveling out with our crews as they work on the stories you will see right here on Reel to Reel. I will see you right back here at this same time next week for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.
My name is Sonia DeSanti, and I'm the director of the Youth Center in Adams. Each year, the Youth Center assists over 1,300 young people in the Berkshires. Your donation to the Annual Catholic Appeal allows us to help those in the greatest need in our community. Every dollar stays here in Western Massachusetts. Please consider donating to the Annual Catholic Appeal, and together we can serve with love. To donate, log on to diospringfield.org.